So here we go. All right, everyone, welcome. My name is Whitney Hine. I am super excited for tonight. Tonight is a topic that is near and dear to my heart. It is about college stress and just, being stressed in your 20s. Not only is it just for college students, but this is also a night for high schoolers that are going to be transitioning into either the workforce or the college route as well, or even the college students that are, entering into the workforce. So just that age group in general. And I went to UW-Whitewater. I graduated in May of 2020. So I went through the college experience, and on here with me, I have Chloe. Chloe, if you want to go ahead and wave. And I have Noah as well. And Noah, if you want to wave, they are going to be sharing their experiences in college and kind of what it looks like as a college student, dealing with the stress and the craziness of life and the balance of life and what that looks like taking care of their mental wellness journey. So to start out, I'm going to get a little into Chloe. She is originally from Malvern, Pennsylvania, but she's currently visiting her mom in Atlanta, Georgia. And she's an upcoming senior at Christopher Newport University in Newport News, Virginia, studying history for her undergrad degree. And then she's going to be staying an extra year to get her master's in teaching, which is awesome. She also enjoys staying active and participating in sports. And she's also currently the president of her school's women's club soccer team, which is amazing. And then Noah, we have, he lives in Charlotte, Virginia, and is a freshman at James Madison University in the School of Business. And he is on the club soccer team and has a huge passion for soccer. So we have two soccer players here, which is so fun. So again, I just want to thank both of you for tonight and your time. And I know that you just finished up with finals, so I'm sure you're probably just ready for some downtime. So again, I want to thank you for being on here tonight. So we are just going to get right into the meat and potatoes for tonight. And I'm going to ask both of you the same question. And the first one is, Chloe, what has been some struggles that you really struggled with your mental wellness? What are some things?
I'd say the two things I struggle with most is stress and anxiety. Kind of just anxiety in day-to-day life, just general anxiety with different things like sports and events related to that, but also stress with schoolwork, and especially with college level classes. Definitely the increasing workload gets really stressful at times. So that's basically what I struggle with most.
Yeah. Do you feel like as a college student, it can be difficult at times to balance everything?
Yeah, absolutely. Balancing like your social life with your academic life, it's really hard to find that balance, but it's really important to find it. Like it helps so much when you find that.
Definitely. I can totally relate to that too. And then also the finance part of it too, having a job in there.
Mhm.
So Noah, what about you as a freshman? What are some struggles with college that you've faced?
Mainly, I think it's more stressful, especially school-wise than anything. I'd have anxiety, um, just the stress of, especially moving from high school to college, the workload and the freedom that they give you, and the like self-control that I have to be able to kind of get all my work done and everything. It's just a lot of stress, and
For sure.
yeah.
Do you feel as a freshman in college that high school really prepares you for, whatever you end up doing, whether that be getting a job right out of high school or in your situation, going to college?
Yes and no. I feel like yeah, but at the same time, the like learning environment's a lot different than at least the high school that I went to, in that I like kind of find that I'm pretty much just teaching everything to myself, and I'm like, the point of being in class is just kind of to listen rather than being taught how I was in high school, which is weird.
Right. I can totally relate to that too. And going into that a little bit more, I think for you as well, it's again finding that balance of classes, finding the balance of this new schedule that you have, finding the balance of being social, getting your work done. And then if you have a job on top of that, and I know, Chloe, you said that, and Noah too, you're both in a soccer club and involved with that too. And I personally remember being, when I was in college, like you almost felt pressured to be involved in so much on top of your academics, your social life, your classes, your job. And it's a lot. It's a lot, especially when you're transitioning. It's a big deal. So before you guys started taking Amare, and for those of you who are new and this is your first ever mental wellness night that you've been on, welcome. And Amare is the first ever mental wellness company. And we'll get a little bit more into that later. But before the two of you, started taking products from Amare and got introduced, what were some things that you did prior to kind of just help with your stress and your anxiety? Chloe, if you want to go first. Sorry.
Okay. Exercise was a big thing. I grew up playing sports, so I was always pretty active no matter what. And then college starts and you no longer have that like structured sports unless you're a committed athlete, which some people are. I wasn't. So from going from like 3 seasons of all sports to like now I kind of have to exercise on my own, I could see how much like those sports helped with stress. And now like going to college, there's no more like you have to do it on your own. And when I saw some days when I didn't exercise, like how much stress I had versus when I did exercise, I felt and I was in a better mood and like stress level wise, it went down a lot. So I think that's like one of my solutions that I still use on top of Amari. But before Amari, yeah, definitely exercise.
Yeah. And Noah, what about you?
The exact same thing. Exercise. Like throughout high school, I would go to the gym a lot. I would in my backyard play soccer, and then once I was able to drive, I would drive down to the University of Virginia and play on their fields. It was basically my escape and my way of just coping with all that.
For sure. And I mean, obviously, we all have gone to different schools and stuff, but personally, I was never taught what to do to help take care of my mental well-being. Like, obviously, they always said exercise, and I grew up in a health conscious family. So I knew, obviously, like, have healthier eating habits, go for walks, things like that. But did you guys ever get taught how to take care of your mental well-being, either in high school and now in college?
No, not
No,
really.
Yeah, I wouldn't
no,
say
it's always been,
front of
oh, go ahead.
I wouldn't say that it was like at the forefront of like high school education. It was definitely on the back burner. Like I feel like if you had health and PE class, like they would touch on it maybe once a year, just like as like a
Mm-hmm.
mental health awareness day, but it wasn't at the forefront of the structure education.
Right. Because we always learned about physical health and wellness. And I always felt like, because I am a couple of years older than you guys, but whenever we did talk about mental health, it was always like mental illness almost. But everyone has mental wellness. So, and that's again something that's so important that for us to be able to take care of ourselves. In fact, when I was in college, I also was really into exercise, and I also tried to maintain that healthy balance, but it was hard. And a lot of people had meds of my age. I mean, I don't know if you guys have friends that are on antidepressants or ADD or ADHD or anything like that, obviously. Um, but I personally got to a point while I was in college. My dad was extremely sick with a rare disease. My parents sold everything and were living in California while I was still in Wisconsin. And I mentally was in survival mode, and I I had no clue. And I knew I wasn't okay. And I knew I needed something. But then I looked at people who were on antidepressants and I was like, you're no better off than I am. And like, isn't that supposed to help? So again, this is just something that is so important, and kind of going into finding solutions and just getting to the root. Amare was something that was the missing link for me. And can you guys kind of attest to that? Like, how have you felt since you started on Amare? Cole, if you want to go first.
Sure. I see it mostly in my schoolwork. Like I used to be a huge procrastinator. And I still like am a little bit, like I'm not like fully cured from procrastination, but definitely it's helped me start like big assignments like papers sooner and get them done in like a shorter amount of time versus when I wasn't on Amari, like I would wait till the last minute and just like do it all in one day or something. Definitely helped me focus more in class. And as far as like on the non-academic side of things, just like lower anxiety, just feeling calmer and anything like that. I definitely like the way I notice those things is when I forget to take any supplements one day and I'm like, why am I in such a bad mood? Like, why am I so stressed out? And I'm like, oh, I need to drink my like energy edge, whatever. Yeah.
For sure. I can totally relate to that too, is when, you get busy and you don't take your stuff in the morning. I'm the same way too. I'm like, oh, no wonder I'm kind of crabby or moody.
Yeah.
What about you, Noah?
For me, I feel like it mainly affects me in the classroom, and I think that just when I take my MRA every day, I kind of just like my brain is more focused on what the teachers are telling me, and I'm able to almost just have that information more remembered. So then when I go to study for a test, I'm kind of ready to have it all, and I've got it all in the back of my brain already. So it's easier to study. And then when I go to actually take the test, I'll take my MRA again. And again, it's just like I'm less stressed and I'm able to just remember everything that I had studied and kind of just work my way through school, at least a lot more than I had before.
For sure. And you guys have been on stuff. Chloe, how long have you been on things now? How long have you been on Amare?
I think about 3 years since my freshman year, and now I just finished my junior year of college.
Okay. And what about you, Noah?
I think 3 years as well. I started my junior year of high school.
Okay, so I just want to see if you guys can relate to this. I have been on it since Amari first came out. So gosh, 5-6 years now. And life is still crazy and busy. You're never going to get out of that season, right? Like no matter what phase of life that you're in. And, when I have those days where it's just busy and can be stressful, I am able to take my extra mood, or I'm able to even reflect on where I am now and where I was like 5-6 years ago. And that alone, I'm just like, holy cow, I'm a completely different person. And it literally brings joy. And have you guys, before you heard about Amare, did you ever hear about stress resilience?
No,
Me neither.
Amari.
Yeah. And before I would have been like, I've never heard that before. I don't know what that means. And for those of you that are new, stress resilience, it's how would you explain that? I feel like it's to the extent of it's something you have to experience, but you're able to handle situations calmly. Things that are stressful like bounce off of you, and you can think clearly during your tests, during those job interviews, during the organizations when you're up giving a speech. Can you guys kind of attest to that too? And do you feel like it's done that for you as well?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when I think of the term like stress resilience, it's almost like armor or something. Like, I don't know if
Mm,
anyone in here is like a Survivor fan, but I do watch Survivor. Like, I'm kind of a nerd about it. But anyways, there's like an immunity necklace that when you win a challenge, you get it, and you can't get voted off or something. It's a weird, really weird analogy that I'm going with, but I'm going with it. But like that's kind of how I feel when I take these products, is like
mm,
when I take them, I feel so much more immune immune to the stress. And so like I'll go into a final, which we just had, and I'll be a lot more calmer and just like focused on what I need to get done. And like Noah said, like remembering things.
mhm.
And it's just like I can't remember a time where I would have to think back to the beginning of freshman year when it was like lots of stress when I wasn't on the products. Now that I'm on it, like even though my classes have gotten way harder, I'm still able to like get even better grades than I was when I wasn't on the products.
Wow, that's amazing. Because I know that that's huge. That is huge. So that's super cool. Thank you for sharing. And we have a question in here. And I was going to get to that too. What products did you guys start on originally when you first started taking it a couple of years ago? And
I
Noah, if you want to go first this time.
yeah, I can. I first started taking just like the kids fundamentals and the kids mood in the morning, and I still do that even today. I've never switched the adult stuff. I mean the kid stuff works completely fine. And then later I started taking just anytime I would like fill up my water bottle to go to soccer practice or to go to the gym, I would put one scoop of the edge and then an energy packet in there, and it works like a charm.
Yeah, and now that you bring up sports, can you kind of speak to what have you noticed differently versus, before you were taking Amari with soccer versus now that you have been? What have you noticed?
I think that um I mean I'd like to think that I've always been a good player, but it kind of helps me open my head to to see more of not just what I need to do, but like what other people need to do. So when I'm on the field, I'll be like screaming at my teammates like, you need to do this and you need to do that, because I think that it just like when I take my MRA, I kind of just like the stress is gone and I don't even think about it. It's just not even there, and I just kind of I play and do my thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. And Chloe, what about you? What did you originally start on? And are you currently still taking that, or are you
I,
on the adult stuff?
yeah, I started with the kids fundamentals and now I'm on the adult, and I also use the edge and energy. That is like great for workouts and sports and stuff. But I just do that like every day with the Mentabiotics edge and energy, because it tastes like really good actually. And then I also use sleep and mood and focus and sync, just kind of all together.
Okay, perfect. Yep, that's what I do too. And I would have been a sophomore freshman in college, sophomore. So I started on the adult stuff right away. And I noticed it for me, I think just the amount of stress that I was under. Um, I remember the first day that I took it and I was waitressing, and that alone was stressful. And I was like laser focused. I knew what was going on. I was calm and I could handle, and everything just brushed off me the first day. And I know it's different for everyone too, but I just think that that's amazing. And you guys really speaking to stress has been a huge word that you said tonight. And I know we've talked a little bit about anxiety, and our age group, the past, gosh, 2.5 years has been absolutely crazy on anyone and everyone. And I can speak to the college life and entering into the workforce right when everything closed down. And I have seen a huge shift in a lot of people in my age group, their mentality, their mental well-being, and they're really struggling. And I don't know what you guys are seeing, but the suicide rates are super high. And it's still crazy times. And I mean, you guys were just kind of entering into college or in the middle of college. Like, what did you guys see since the world changed? And what are you kind of seeing now with your peers?
I'd say one thing that everyone had to cope with as far as just like my peers from college and stuff, because COVID happened like in the spring of my freshman year, is online learning. And it was just like kind of a mess for everyone because they had to go home, and not everyone has like a great learning environment at home versus at school, especially for college. And a lot of my teachers or professors, they kind of just made it what's the word, asynchronous, basically just gave you lectures that like in video form and just had you do your own learning, and that was really hard. So I think Amari definitely helped me like just get back on track and focus on what I needed to get done just to at least survive just the semester.
Yeah, totally. I can only imagine. And Noah, I mean, you just finished your first year. Like, what are you seeing? Because I mean, you didn't know what college was like prior to 2020. Like, what is it like for you now?
Um, what I see a lot from a lot of my friends is like you were talking about earlier, them like reaching for these other things that they think are solutions, like different pills, whether they're prescribed or not for them, or like energy drinks, like the Bang energy and all that stuff that's just so nasty for you that like just doesn't help at all. And people take like 3 Red Bulls and then stay up all night before their exam because they're like super stressed out about it. And they're like, I'm not gonna be able to fall asleep because I'm too stressed about it. And I'm like, that's not gonna help you at all. It's
Right. And sleep is so
crazy.
important.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess I have one last question for the two of you. And whoever wants to go first can answer this, but I mean, whoever's on here, someone might be on here and they're really struggling and they're in our age group. What would you say to them? What's some advice that you would give them, especially after being on Amare?
Um, I'd say just like trust the products. They do work, and like even if you don't really notice it right away, or like just in general, I think they kind of work subconsciously as well, kind of like a security blanket. And now like I like can't go without them, so I'd say just like continue on, and you'll get through it.
Yeah, 100%. And now that you brought that up too, and Noah, I'll get to you asking the same question, but the really amazing thing about trying this out is it is 100% money back guarantee. So in the end, you have nothing to lose, right? So give it some time and just know it's a win-win situation for you. And Noah, if you want to fill in anything else that comes to mind of someone who's struggling, what you'd want to say.
I would say, I would completely agree. I think that it definitely does take time, and I think that the times where I notice it affecting me the most are when I actually forget to take it, because then I'm sitting there halfway through my day wondering like, why am I so grumpy and why am I so tired? Because I didn't take my MRA. So I would just, yeah,
Mhm.
trust the process.
Totally agree. Totally agree. And, kind of another thing that I want to add before we close out here is, oh, someone had a question. Did you mention that it is all natural? Yes, it is all natural, non-GMO. The person that invited you to this, if you any questions that you have, go ahead and ask them. They can get you some information on that too. But the other thing that I really want to speak to is if you're in college or if you're out of college, and you are like, I want to try this stuff, and you're looking at it and if you ask me, it's absolutely amazing. I love it, but there's also an opportunity piece. And I want to speak to that because when I was in college, my parents were on the brink of bankruptcy and I was working a job. I was involved as much as I could. And I just wanted to get my products paid for and just know that that is an option here. And not only did I get my products paid for, but I also earned a little extra money that I paid my utility bills with, that I paid to be able to go out and spend time with friends, because that is just as important too for our mental well-being, is to go out and be surrounded and have a social life too during this and any season of life. And I just wanted to speak to that. And whoever invited you to this, if you want to learn more about that piece of it, go ahead and talk to them. For me, it not only got me, that extra income in college, but I've been able to make it into a healthy side income now too, on top of my current job. So, and I think everyone can agree to this, but with the cost of prices the way that they are, with inflation and everything else, like a side income is going to be huge for so many people, whether that be an additional 500 a month, an additional 1,000 a month. That's just such an important piece, and financial stress is a thing and so many people struggle with it. That's another, piece to the puzzle. So before we kind of close out, is there anything else that the two of you want to share before we say goodbye?
I'm okay.
No?
Can't think of
Perfect.
anything. I feel like we covered a lot, and really
Yeah.
happy with what we talked about.
Yeah, I think tonight was amazing. And I just hope and pray that whether you're watching this live or you're watching this recording, that, between myself, Chloe, and Noah, that this gives you hope, because we want you to know that you're not alone, and that you have a support system here. And Chloe and Noah, I just want to thank you so much for hopping on tonight and sharing, because I know that being vulnerable and open isn't always the easiest thing. And Noah, I also want to compliment you, because for men especially, they usually don't share. So seriously, props to you. And I just know that this is going to spread hope and light to those that are struggling. So thank you so much for everyone that attended tonight. We will talk soon, and thank you so much again, guys. Have a good rest of your night. Bye.
Bye.